and the fantasy team champion is YardPanther. I'm working on an interview with the champ that will be posted on the channel soon. Dude, stoked, man. So, yeah, I'm going to let it make sure. It looks like we're recording. That's awesome. So you're coming to us live from, I'm going to say Bells Beach, and I looked at the forecast, and it looks like it's going to be firing this weekend. Is that a regular on your surf rounds?
Yeah, so in Victoria, but on the other coast, so over on the Mornington Peninsula, which is kind of the other side to Bells Beach. So yeah, looking like there'll be fun waves over there this weekend. Not so much on our coast. It's a little more exposed. But yeah, it looks like they've had a great winter over there, kind of returned to normal for them. A little drive and a ferry kind of gets us across there, so can kind of get across to Bells in, I don't know, hour and a half, 2 hours or so.
Wow.
Kind of like that. You can pretty much see kind of the Torquay area of the coast when you're surfing on our back beaches here on the peninsula. So you can see it. It's just not that easy to, yeah, either got to drive all the way around up through the city or jump on a ferry and get across the heads across there. So yeah, it's a little far away. So yeah, predominantly surfing on our coast on the peninsula, which is kind of, then on the other side you've got Phillip Island.
Right.
So yeah.
And dude, congratulations. I'm glad we finally sorted this out, man.
Yeah, likewise. Yeah, no, nice to chat. Obviously there's yeah, we're gonna chat before the finals, and obviously there was a lot going on there, and it was good. It sounds like you had an awesome time there, and it was good that you got to see it in person.
Yeah, for sure. It was the first time I ever actually watched the finals in person, and there's pluses and minuses to it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I really liked being there, as the sun was rising and talking to everybody and getting excited for the event. The waves were a little inconsistent, but it sure did look good as the morning progressed. There were a couple sets that pushed, and then Katie and Molly got in the water, and it just died, man. And then it had ups and downs as we went. And I'd love to talk to you about the finals, but I feel like we want to hit a couple of topics. And I know what everyone's going to ask. Well, first of all, they're going to ask, what's the backstory with the name YardPanther? I have to know this.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, it's not overly entertaining. I think way back when Instagram and socials kind of came out. So what was that? Probably for me, maybe 15 years ago or so. I think I
Yeah.
just jumped on a name generator on the internet, and it literally was the first one that came out, and kind of just ran with it. So kind of
That's
self-proclaimed,
epic.
which my mates get stuck into me for. Um, but yeah, it's kind of, I don't know, it kind of stuck as a handle. And then I know a few of my mates called me Yardo or Panther, but yeah, pretty much really just
Dude,
use it to go
I,
anonymous online.
I love that story. I love that story. And you were AI before anybody was AI, apparently. I
Yeah,
want to say
did it
that
myself.
there's a little bit of a delay between us, and the quality probably looks like shit on your end, but it's okay because what's happening is it's pulling the information from over on your side, so it'll look fine, hopefully. And by the way, we can say whatever we want because I can edit this shit out if there's something you don't
Ah,
like.
cool.
We'll
That's
do
cool.
that. But I think it's going to be pretty cool, and I think what I was getting at before was like everyone's gonna ask like, all right, what did Yard Panther do to make his picks? Because it was a tough year, and I had
Yeah,
a
yeah.
below average year, and I'm gonna blame the waves for that. Everybody, the waves sucked, so that's the
Yeah,
reason why Old Surf Dad was middle of the pack. But
yeah.
carry on. Tell us how you make your picks.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah, they got so stitched up this year. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Obviously, they were about a week off the whole year. It was an interesting year. There was lots going on, like politically over there, and they obviously copped it. I think, but as a lot of people say, they put it on, get to watch it for free. You get to see some of the best surfers performing it. Not always the best waves, but good waves, and so you got to kind of take that for granted a little bit. Despite that, I think we'd all like to see them, surfing in much better waves if they could. Obviously, the new
Yeah.
schedule's come out, but park that for now. Yeah, so on to picks. I think it's probably a mixture of things. So I've been betting on surfing for about 10 or 15 years.
Wow.
So I think me and a couple of mates. So I think watching heats for that long has probably helped just kind of give a little bit of a gut feel on which surfers obviously do well in what conditions. So when it comes around to an event, I'll generally look at previous year's results. I won't give away everything, but got some spreadsheets
Sure.
running. It's nothing too crazy, but um, yeah, previous year's results. Also look at kind of how they're going at the moment, so more form. That's a little bit trickier at the start of the year. Obviously, you
Mm,
look at some that had a great start to the year and then peter off, or the other way around. So I think trend and kind of form is really important, especially where that might play into someone's strengths as they're going into, say, heavy water waves or, big, right, mushy burgers, like the first half of the tour kind of nearly seems to be, except for Pipe and Sunset. Um, and so we'll generally look at that as well. Uh, in the first, before the cut, you obviously get the chance to change your team around a little bit, which I think everyone says if you can be awake for that time zone or get that little window to change your team around, that's really good at avoiding clashes. I think that actually really helped early on. But after the cut, it's obviously a little bit more guesswork, and I think the seedings are so all over the place. It's pretty hard to avoid clashes, which I think if you look at most of the teams, pretty much everyone had clashes. So you can try and guess based on the rankings. It's a little tricky. There's a bit of guesswork there, but you'll often find that
yeah.
calls or will go one way or the other. And then just a fair bit of intuition. So, I've seen your videos, like you've got a gut feeling about someone at a certain event based on, how you think they perform, what you've seen on socials, or uh, yeah, whatever that gut feeling is. So run with it. I think I was in another league, which was good too. It was really competitive this year. It was a paying league, so we all chipped in $100, and the winner kind of got seven, eight
Mm,
hundred bucks or whatever, plus some event wins. And a few of us kept saying like we wish we just went with our original team. So after a couple of events, you know, you lock in your team to begin with. You start second guessing yourself. You make some changes, and often if you just
for
stuck with
sure.
your original team, it would be better anyway. So that was the other tip that a few of us got onto, which was just stick with that gut feeling in the first team.
Absolutely. There was a lot of times when I should have gone with my first pick. I picked
Yeah,
Ryan Callanan in El Salvador, and I should have stayed with that. I
yeah,
picked, and I think I picked Liam. I picked Liam O'Brien there, and he was in the semis.
yeah, good pick.
So yeah, that hurt me a lot this year. I second guessed myself. I overanalyzed, and that's why I tell people when they watch my videos, like, you make your own intuitive picks. Look at the
Yeah,
numbers with me, and let's see how we do. You know, I will probably have some kind of paid league thing under the radar. Anybody who joins Discord can check it out. So I'll just say it like that. But
that's cool.
anyway,
Yeah, that makes
yeah, carry on.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say there was a couple of those events this year. Uh, I think like Ryan at Brazil. You jump on and you kind of see that they're going to be surfing a backwashy, slopey left, and then you kind of think back to that France event that he surfed really well in, and then he's obviously really strong in all conditions, but
Mm,
kind of lefts where he can go to town. Someone like Leo had a really underground good year. I've got a mate with Italian
yes, he
heritage,
did.
so he backed Leo all year. Regardless, I think he made him his power surfer every single event. That kind of really paid
Wow.
off for him. Like that was, but otherwise, I think Leo, there was a few sneaky picks, and but yeah, mostly I think you'll find that Tier A, most people have similar teams. Obviously, the power surfer can kind of change there, and then Tier C, like generally you'll chuck in a wild card and someone else who's maybe sitting down there that shouldn't be. And then obviously the main difference
Mm,
is in Tier B, and that's where if you've got John and Gabby and stuff sitting in that tier, they're probably going to get picked up. But that's where you've kind of I feel like you kind of focus most of your attention, and that's where kind of it can go either way.
John and Gabby let me down a little bit. I think let everybody down. We all expected them to make the final five, but that didn't happen. And that's how it
Yeah.
is. It's often a lottery, but I think my main takeaway is trusting your intuition, and also relating the event that they're about to surf in to events they've surfed in the past and done well. And I think that's great advice. I wanted to ask you also, like, do you have any superstitions? Are there any good luck charms to you? I don't
Uh,
know. Like, some
good,
people have
good
said
question.
this, anything like that.
Yeah, no, good question. For me, probably not. I'm a little bit superstitious, but I think, I don't have any particular. I'll always end up just putting in a reminder to check my team the day before because I got three
Yeah.
kids and obviously work and life, so just
Wow.
making sure. And so if I don't have a reminder set, I think I'll kind of start to doubt myself. So that might be my kind of habit, which is just set one for the day before and to set and
Mm.
forget. And that gives me a bit of confidence going into it. It's all fun and games, but it's good. It's good when there's a bit of competition going on.
Yeah, for sure. And I love what you said about reselects. And I realized that at some point, either your side of the world or my side of the world is getting up at 2 in the morning. And I do give the WSL credit for uh, not locking us out as quick as they have in the past.
Yeah.
But as the year before
Yeah.
was horrifying. I lost a lot
Yeah.
of points on that. I think you probably did too. And but I will flip that over and talk about the WSL for a second. And I want to get your take on this. I noticed I looked through your team, and unfortunately they took away a lot of the stats. But I looked at your team, and you picked Carissa Moore every single time in Tier A, I believe, the entire year. I may be wrong on that, but
No, you're right.
what's your thoughts on Carissa Moore and picking her? And then the second part of that question is, what do you think about her in the finals and what possibly could happen in the future?
Yeah, no, good question. Yeah, so I think this is actually going back to the Surf Fantasy League, where I think that was around before the
Mm-hmm.
WSL one, where you used to have the budget and you
Yeah.
could trade up and sell and all that kind of stuff. And I think over the course of doing that, I think for some surfers, it was just better to keep them in all year. And I think that probably influenced and came across. So I've only been doing the WSL one for 2 years, I
Um,
think. Most of our mates have been doing the
Damn.
other surf. Um, Actually, one of my other mates won the global one year, which was pretty good for him. When they used to like shout a trip to Hawaii and stuff, which was cool. Um, but yeah, so I think on Carissa, it was like I just kind of thought that she'd have a consistent year, and rather than jumping around and trying to pick winners here and there, I just thought I'd keep her in. It looked like she was going to have a good year. She obviously had an amazing year. I think someone said that
Yeah,
if they ran a typical year without the finals and they had the throwaways that they usually do, Tyler actually would have won the title. Um,
that's
just
correct.
the way they did the
Yes.
throwaways after. But yeah, but regardless, she obviously had an amazing year. She's an amazing surfer, and I think the chatter that she probably should have won more world titles if there wasn't the surf off is probably true if you look at the numbers. Last year, obviously Tyler, but maybe the year before that. Um, I think for the finals, Caroline just came in with so much momentum. I actually backed her,
For sure.
Caroline, throughout like the finals day where you could select the ladies to or the surfer to win. So I actually tipped her to beat Carissa in the final. I think once she won that first heat, given the size of the waves in the morning as well, I think just her point of difference came through. And Carissa obviously again just came up against a bit of a freight train. Uh, it would have been interesting to
Yeah.
see if the conditions held out like they were in the morning to see what it was like. And I think Caroline was just on a roll, obviously with local knowledge. And yeah, unfortunately for Carissa, she couldn't really make it happen.
I'm so glad that you participate in the league, and again, congratulations. It's only your second year, and that's going to piss off a lot of people who've been at it a long time. And I will say, I will give props to our league is that we get prizes, and one of the prizes that I don't think you've received it yet. I sent it in the mail a couple days ago. You're getting the Kelly Trophy signed by Kelly, the surfboard.
Nice.
Tell us about your Kelly Slater story, if you have one,
Yeah.
or are you a fan of Kelly's?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah. So Kelly, I think, so I probably started surfing about, oh gosh, maybe 20 years ago or so. So I guess that was kind of peak Kelly, you know. So definitely around the
Yeah.
time with Kelly and AI and so on. So for me, my auntie and uncle, they owned a surf shop. And so from a young age, I was spending a fair bit of time in there, like literally from when I was 0, I think. So, obviously Kelly was kind of plastered everywhere. I
Yeah.
think Quicksilver was one of the main products in their store at the time. So I kind of grew up with Kelly, and then the whole Kelly Andy thing went down. So yeah, he's amazing, obviously. It's a bit, his season this year, obviously he's been riddled by injury and things like that as
Yeah.
well. And I thought he was going to retire after Pipe. That was after his win there. That was awesome to see. And we were actually on a Bucks weekend when he won that weekend. We just hopped out of the surf and saw the final. I think half of us broke down in tears just because it was such an amazing victory.
It
We're all
was,
pretty proud,
man.
but that was amazing. And yeah, like for Kelly's. I don't know if there's much you can say about it. Him, he's obviously one of the greatest. He's the goat, and yeah, hopefully we can see him kind of. I don't know what's going to happen over the next couple of years with him and with the Olympics and things like that. I'm sure he'll find a way to weasel his way into the Olympics, which would be awesome to see. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, stoked to get that. Thanks for pulling together. It's going to go straight up in the studio where I spend most of my days working.
Nice. Stoked, man. And couldn't be happier that you earned that trophy. I wanted to ask you, now that you are the champion for the 2023 season, who are you predicting will be the title holders for 2024?
Yeah, yeah, it's a good question. Given the finals are going back to trestles,
Yeah.
I think it's going to just be really hard to go past Felipe again.
Yeah.
Um, like Phil at that size, we know what the wind generally does in the afternoons there at that time of year. Uh, he was he's nearly unbeatable out there. I thought Ethan obviously had an amazing run. I think some of the waves that he surfed during that day were some of the best waves surfed on the day, and just listening
Yeah,
to
for sure.
podcasts and reading and other things, I think other people said they were just some of the best waves, full stop. It was interesting the stab, how surfers get paid. Recent video was just talking about, obviously he's on DHDs, but has a close relationship with Lost, and it'd be interesting to see kind of what tweaking went on with his boards there because they just looked so on point. Um, Coming back from injury too, he had a crazy run, and I thought that maybe if the waves would have held out and been a little bit bigger and cleaner, that would have gone to 3 heats for sure. That first heat, that was super close. I
Yeah.
think just Phil's point of differences in on a couple of his waves obviously got him over the line. And the second heat was kind of all Phil's way anyway. But yeah, back on to next year, I think it'll probably go to Phil again if it's back at Trestles. Uh, there'll be someone else random or kind of semi-random that ends up in the top 5 that maybe makes a little bit of a charge. But yeah, at that size, I'm going to say
Yeah.
Phil. And for the ladies, uh, you know, it's probably a hard one. There's going to be like the likes of Katie and someone who have had a little bit more experience on tour again this year. Caroline's obviously going to have a bit of confidence. I'm still feeling like Carissa will end up in the final, and I have a funny feeling she'll get it across the line. So I'm going to say Phil and Carissa.
Nice. Nice. Um, as an American on this side of the pond, I'm going to say Katie Simmers is going to put it together and win her
Yeah,
first title. We'll
yeah,
see.
I'd
That
love to see that.
there, you
Yeah,
heard it
she's
first from Luke and Old
amazing.
Surf Dad.
Oh yeah, no, just on Katie. Obviously, like she's inspired from the sounds of things so many surfers as well, and it's great to see her approach is just so different. So yeah, I'd love to see her get a title. That'd be awesome.
I wanted to ask you if you could surf any wave on this next year, 2024. World Tour, which wave would it be? And you can't pick the surf ranch.
I haven't surfed the surf ranch yet. We'll try and get there at some point. Got a good mate that lives in California, so when we come visit him, we'll
Yeah.
get across there. Uh, For me, I'd probably say Cloudbreak. I haven't been across there yet. I'm a natural footer, but love lefts, and particularly kind of love left reefs as well. Like Ulus, for example. Like I think that's where it all started. Used to spend a fair
Yeah.
bit of time there after school, and go and spend a little bit of time in Indo and yeah, kind of left reefs. It's obviously warm. Waves can vary. Like obviously, it's not always going to be good, but if it was going to be pumping, yeah, I'd love to surf cloud break. Nothing crazy, like those super big days. I'm not really into that, but a good fun size and in boardies with your mates, I reckon that'd be the dream over there. So
Right on, man. Luke, congratulations again. Thanks for taking the time out. And
yeah,
yeah, we'll see you next year in the league.
yeah. Thanks so much, Dave. Thanks for having us, and thanks for putting on the league and your videos. I know it goes on top of your day job, so yeah, it's awesome. And thanks for taking the time to chat, and thanks for lining it up.
Cheers. Thanks, Luke.
All right, talk to you soon.
All right. Later, man.